We're approaching the 70th anniversary of one of the most prolific American urban legends to have ever existed, the Flatwoods Monster. On the evening of September 12th, 1952, at 7:15 p.m., three young boys in Flatwood, West Virginia witnessed a blazingly bright object hurtling out of the sky. It appeared to land on some farmland relatively nearby, so they immediately went to report the strange occurrence to their mother. They explained to her how they had tracked a UFO across the sky and that it had crash-landed only a short distance away. Although initially skeptical, she agreed to venture out with them and try to discover what they had seen a few minutes prior. Three additional local boys decided to tag along. The search party, including 6 boys ages 10 to 17, the mother, Kathleen May, and their dog, set out to where the kids described the perceived impact point of the aerial anomaly. Just before reaching their intended destination, their dog ran ahead of the party, barking at something that it had seen. Moments later, the dog came sprinting back to the group with its tail between its legs, clearly frightened by whatever was just beyond their line of vision. After traveling a bit further, the group reached the top of a hill, where they reported seeing a large, pulsating ball of fire about 50 feet, or 15 meters ahead of them. Accompanying the strange scene was a pungent mist that made their eyes and noses burn, and then, in an instant, their entire worlds changed when one of the boys directed his flashlight to a nearby patch of darkness. Standing there in full view of the entire search party was an enormous creature. It was 10 feet or 3 meters in height, and centering its spade-shaped, blood-red head were 2 giant eyes that radiated a sickly orange glow. It had a dark green or black body that resembled a giant humanoid, wearing some sort of almost metallic-looking dress. It had robotic-looking arms that were tipped with small, claw-like hands. After only a few short moments of being frozen in fear at the sight of the unknown creature, one thing became apparent. It was angry. The figure let loose a blood-curdling hiss as it simultaneously began gliding at high speed towards the group. This caused the boy to drop his flashlight and scream, prompting the whole group to turn tall and run back home as fast as they possibly could. After reaching their home and conducting a head count to make sure that everyone made it back safely, Kathleen May immediately phoned the local sheriff and a news reporter to explain her otherworldly encounter. While the reporter conducted numerous interviews with the witnesses, the sheriff and his deputy began investigating the reports of a crashed aircraft. They searched the site of impact but claimed that they saw, heard, and smelled nothing. The next day, the reporter, A. Lee Stewart Jr. of the Braxton Democrat newspaper, conducted a separate visit of his own to the site described by the exasperated witnesses. He claimed to have discovered skid marks in the field and an odd, gummy deposit that was described as a thick black liquid at the crash site. He immediately reported his findings as potential evidence of a saucer landing, since the area had not seen any local traffic in recent times. It was later concluded by investigators that the tracks in liquid were from a Chevy pickup truck, driven by a curious local who wanted to see the scene for himself, and arrived mere hours before Stewart did. After conducting interviews and investigating the area for himself, Stewart came to the conclusion that the witnesses were being genuine. He was reported as saying, "Those people were the most scared people I've ever seen. People don't make up that kind of story that quickly." And despite his corroboration of their story, many remained skeptical. In the aftermath of their encounters, some members of the group suffered from throat irritation, vomiting, and nausea, which persisted for several days. These symptoms were chalked up to general hysteria, but some believe they're strikingly in line with the symptoms you would experience after exposure to mustard gas. The group's story was a sensational hit in both local and national news. According to former news editor Holt Byron, Newspaper stories were carried throughout the country, radio broadcasts were carried on large networks, and hundreds of phone calls were received from all parts of the country. The Flatwoods Monster had become an overnight talking point in homes across America. What Kathleen May and her group of boys saw that night continues to be contentious to this very day. There have been many theories and speculations regarding the incident, but the most popular explanation by far is that the creature was a common barn owl. After rigorous investigation, it was concluded that the shape, movement, and sounds reported by the witnesses were consistent with the silhouette, the flight pattern, and the screech of a startled barn owl perched on a tree limb. Researchers believe that the foliage beneath the owl may have created the illusion of the lower portions of the creature, making it seem much larger than it actually was. The description of the creature's small, claw-like hands also led investigators to believe a barn owl was the most likely answer. As for the actual UFO crash itself, skeptics believe that the bright light in the sky was most likely a meteor. The pulsating red light that the group claimed to have seen could have also been an aircraft, navigation, or hazard beacon. It suggested that the group's perceptions were distorted by their heightened state of anxiety. And despite all of these conventional explanations, there are subsets of individuals who believe what the search party saw that night was in fact alien in nature. After the story hit the mainstream media, there were a number of additional accounts from witnesses who claimed to have experienced a similar phenomena. These included the story of a mother and her 21-year-old daughter who claimed to have had a close encounter with a creature who had a strikingly similar appearance 1 week prior to the September 12th incident. They also experienced a strange mist and odor, which reportedly affected the daughter so negatively that she was confined to a hospital for 3 weeks. Another testimony arose from the mother of a local farmer, who claimed that at the reported time of the September 12th crash, her house shook violently and her radio cut out for 45 minutes. The day following the Flatwoods incident, a couple was taking a leisurely drive through the mountains of Frametown, West Virginia, approximately 19 miles or 30 kilometers from the reported crash site. Their picturesque drive came to a terrifying halt when their vehicle suddenly stopped and refused to start again. Within minutes, a putrid, sulfuric odor filled the air, similar to other reported encounters. The couple reported spotting a creature incredibly similar to the Flatwoods Monster from the waist down, but from the torso on up, it was a reptilian humanoid creature. Due to proximity, timing, and descriptive similarities, this creature is believed to be the same as the Flatwoods Monster. What do you believe? Was the Flatwoods Monster really a visitor from outer space? Or could it have been something as simple as a common barn owl? Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Thanks so much to Colin Nichols who suggested this week's video topic. If you have anything you'd like me to cover next, I'm all ears and I appreciate your suggestions. Thank you for taking the time to make it to the end of the video, and I'll see you back here next week for another mystery.